Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Glorious Republic of Swordland. This is actually the first video you're gonna watch where I have the flu, and but in the far future, when you're watching the final Aliens Dark Descent episodes, because I sat down and decided to record the entire rest of the game. Uh, know that that is the same flu that I have right now, because that's how recording works. Pre-recording, you just one day you tell yourself you're gonna record you're gonna record a backlog, so you're not always recording things last minute, and then you find yourself recording literal months worth. Seriously, I'm gonna check. I I I think it's until, yeah, I have Aliens Dark Descent. The final Aliens Dark Descent video is coming out July. Well, unless I change the order where the episodes come out, which might happen to cover some gaps. If nothing changes, the final. Okay, let's just say it comes out in July. I think that's the safer option for me. Yeah, I have recorded Aliens Dark Descent videos to last me until July. Mid-July. So there's not even one video that popped it over into July, just mid-July. And yet I am recording this video 10 minutes before it should go out, which is going to mean that it's almost definitely going to be late. Anyway, in July, when you hear me complaining about the flu in Aliens Dark Descent, know that it is now, that it is today that I have that flu. This weekend, actually. Didn't record all of that today. I'm not that much of a. Not that. I didn't record that many episodes in one day. Anyways. Sure, let's do the briefing first. The morning sunlight streamed through the windows as Lucian and I entered the White Room. I sat down, Lucian remained standing. I'm afraid I won't be able to join you for the meetings today, sir. The business surrounding the Livia Suno affair is taking up all of my time at the moment, but I did want to give you a quick word of warning. I have noticed that the USB faction in the Assembly has adopted a confrontational stance of late. Oh, you have you? Their displeasure with you has led them to engage in obstructionist tactics, slowing down policy implementation and creating legislative gridlock. Yeah, I really have turned into the next Alfonso, haven't I? The Assembly did employ similar tactics to block your predecessor's reforms, yes? He dropped a thick folder in front of me. And that was another sneeze. Sorry about that. I was hoping to go over today's agenda with you before your cabinet members began arriving with duty calls. Already running away from the sinking ship, are we, Lucian? He walked out almost immediately as if she'd been waiting for him to leave. Olivia entered with a carafe of coffee. She poured me a cup with a smile, then took a look down at the folder in front of me. Looks like you have quite a packed agenda for today, Mr. President. I am sorry again about the disturbance my indiscretion caused. I hope it didn't create too much extra work for you. Yeah, I do expect more professional behavior from you going forward, Miss Yuno. And you will get it, Mr. President. Enjoy your coffee. She walked out. I enjoy a split second of solitude before the morning's first meeting. Internal Affairs was first on the list of items. Laleas and Nia, along with their close staff, joined me around the table. Shall we begin? Tell me what's been going on in Bergia. Mr. President, I wanted to thank you again for approving my plans for autonomous Bergia, however, the Assembly denied us the possibility. Ah, shit. The proposal only received about 90 votes. I'm sorry, but what did you expect? The Grand National Assembly did the right thing. Fuck off, Elias. In any case, as long as Governor Braun retains his position, the central government can never properly decree the tensions between our Sordish and Polish communities. Decrease. Therefore, I cannot say that everything is going great for Polish rights in this country. She sighed. I hear your concerns. Nia nodded. We'll keep it brief. I think that will be all for our internal affairs update. They gathered their documents. See you later, Mr. President. So, Elias is just not gonna say anything. Right. They took their entourage and left the room. Simon came in short afterwards. Mr. President, where's the Vice President today? He's thinking very hard about what he did wrong. I don't know. Have you seen him? Not lately. Simon's expression remained unchanged as he sat down to face me. I just wanted to provide you with a few updates to the economy. You may have noticed that the government budget is in need of a boost. My ministry is therefore working on a bill that will increase the tax on tobacco products from 10 to 30%. A similar bill is being drafted to introduce a 20% tax on alcohol. In addition to bringing in needed revenue, the new laws would curb excessive drinking and smoking in Sorland. Would the income be worth the harm to business? Interesting initiatives, but would the income would receive be worth the harm to businesses? Good question. The tax wouldn't apply to products designated for export, which would mitigate the damage somewhat. Ordinarily, I'd advance against this kind of thing, but with our budget tipping into the red, any measure that would reverse our deficit is worth considering. Thankfully, tourism to Sorland is on the rise, so we can expect to see a healthy stream of income there. Good thing we built that airport then. Our investment in cultural preservation paid off, it seems. Sorland's best country? No. That's good news. Thank you for telling me. I never quite understood why anyone would want to vacation in Sorland when Lespe is right there. I suppose our country has a certain charm. Oh, fuck off, Simon. There was a knock on the door. Gus Menger strolled in and grabbed a seat. Mr. President, Simon. Thank you for joining us, Gus. I believe you wanted to update the President on the latest development in the Gruni region. Gus nodded very vigorously. As you both know, how revitalizing the region has always been my pet project of sorts. Well, thanks to the efforts of my ministry and the funding allocated by the President, Gruni is looking stable these days. Stable, that's it? Gus shrugged. It's far from the massive surge in economic growth that I had hoped to see, but I still believe the area has a wealth of untapped potential. If we seize every possible opportunity to invest in Gruni now, we could still see positive results within our term. Oh, for fuck's sake. I'll see what I can do to help boost development there. That would be great, Mr. President. I only hope it's not too late. I'll be on the lookout for further opportunities to invest in the region. The door to the White Room opened slowly, and David made his way in. Oh, hello, gentlemen. I'm early again, aren't I? Not to worry, Mr. Vichy. We just about wrapped things up. Simon and Gus rose from their seats and left the room. After the door closed, David regarded me for a second. His blue eyes seemed to see right through me. How are you, Anton? You look as if you hadn't slept in ages. It's been a rough few days, David. I'll be very brief. Perhaps we can even carve out some time for you to rest your eyes. Regretfully, tensions are continuing to mount between Soylent and Rumburg. As you might imagine, our decision to grant asylum to their whistleblower, Mr. Halliston, did not sit well with the kingdom. We must exercise caution. The slightest provocation on either side could cost us our chance at reconciliation. I don't know if peace is possible after so many years of animosity. There is always hope for peace, no matter what. I'll leave you to it, Anton. I know you got a lot on your plate. It's always a pleasure, David. David left the white room, gently closing the door behind him. High economic synergy between Grunia and Bergia. Okay, the line isn't going up as hard as it used to be. I don't like that. Several days had passed since I ordered the investigation to my secretary Livia Suno. Both Peter and Livia had been acting unnaturally nice to me, believing I'd let them off the hook for their affair. They seemed to be avoiding each other in the hallways, though. I was just settling in behind my desk when Lucian knocked on my door. Sir, a moment of your time. Of course. Lucian entered my office and closed the door behind him. Our security team traveled to Lecheven to speak to the owners of the pub Miss Suno named. They confirmed that one Livia Suno had worked there. Their description of her did not match that of our secretary. However, it did match that of an unidentified corpse that washed up in Lenkberg Bay 2 months before your inauguration. Huh, what a coincidence. Are you sure about this? Here, it's all in the report from our intelligence officers. Further investigation by our operatives in Rumburg matched Miss Suno's description to a woman called Ilana Vance, last seen graduating from Krimsrad Political Science Institute. Our whistleblower from Rumburg recognized the name Vance as belonging to a deeply embedded covert agent, although he had previously assumed it was a man. How could we have missed all of this? As mentioned, Miss Suno was hired without a background check. It's possible this all could have been avoided had any of Mr. Vactorin's blood flown directed to his brain when he selected her. Indeed. But none of that can be helped now. The question is what you're going to do, sir. I'm going to have Peter castrated. I wouldn't oppose to that idea, but I mean in regards to our spy. The standard procedure would be to try Miss Suno for espionage. If we do so, it's only a matter of time before the media pieces together what happened. No, we're not just gonna disappear her. I look like a fool for having her under my nose this entire time. That's why you must let Mr. Vectorn take the fall. I know his actions were problematic, but no, I completely agree. Peter needs to resign. Take the fall for this. Problematic is an understatement. Mr. Vectorn put you in danger by failing to order a background check on your closest personal staff. He betrayed your confidence to a woman with whom he was committing adultery. Anton, would you do the same to your so-called best friend? No, I wouldn't. Lucian sighed. I am your chief strategist. I have advised you on what I believe is the best strategy, but of course the ultimate decision is yours. Petter will be our scapegoat. It's not a scapegoat. It's not a scapegoat if it is actually his fault. Very well. I shall write a statement for you to read the press conference. I'll leave you to handle Miss Vance. Thank you. Lucian nodded and walked out. I called Carl Greiser from my desk and explained the situation. After a few minutes, I rang for Olivia. She entered my office. Is there something you need, Mr. President? Please sit down. Barely perceptible flash of fear crossed her face. She said, Why'd you call me in here, sir? I nodded toward my office doorway. Carl Greiser was standing there along with two of his guards, blocking the entrance. Ilana Vance, you are under arrest on suspicion of espionage. Please come with me. Why the fuck did I tell her just sit down? Her eyes darted around the room. What the hell is going on, Mr. President? Have you let Lucian get to your head? I thought you were smarter than that. You're going to pay for your lies, Ilana. Carl's men grabbed her arms and began dragging her out. No, you can't do this to me. Peter, hearing her cries, rushed out of his office. Liv, what in the hell, Anton? What's going on? Her name is Ilana. Lucian was right about her. She's a spy. No, that can't be true, can it, Liv? I won't say another word without a lawyer present. Smart girl. She looked Peter square in the eye, except this, you're a sad old drunk and lousy lay. Honestly, if I were a Rumberg spy, I'd barely have to do a thing. You two have Sutherland ripe for the taking. She straightened up, ran a hand through her curls, and allowed Carl to lead her away. Peter sank to the floor in front of me. Anton, what the hell just happened? Yeah, I'll tell you in my office. Feel free to take a moment. Once Peter was in my office, I shut the door and explained everything Lucian had told me about Livia. And you believe him? Well, better safe than sorry, especially after what she called me. Dude, that's your concern? At least we finally have this ordeal behind us. Let's get with running the country, shall we? I have something to tell you. You are resigning. I am giving you the option to... I'm giving you the honor of resigning. Yeah, what is it? I want you to resign. I need you to resign, otherwise I'm firing you. Peter looked up at me. His expression was numb. I guess I deserve this, don't I? Yes. Yes, you do. Your philandering put us all in danger. He exhaled slowly. I could see tears in his eyes. I'm sorry, Anton. I was never cut out for this job. It was fun while it lasted. Sure was, old buddy. You'll have some time before the news goes public. I suggest you put your affairs in order. Alright, I get the message, but first... He grabbed the body of Elrody, maroon 30-year-old, from the shelf behind my desk. 2 new beginnings. He drank a third of the bottle in one long swig, then got to his feet and unsteadily made his way to the door. Fuck's sake, Peter. I knew this was for the best, but I hoped my friend would be alright. It was the morning of Livia's trial, and hordes of reporters were gathered in front of the state courthouse. Peter, Lucian, and I stood by the entrance. Lucian had helped break the news of my secretary's arrest. Now the media was beginning to question exactly how Rumberg agent had been able to infiltrate the Maroon Palace. It was time for me to deliver an explanation. A podium with a bank of microphones awaited us on the courthouse steps. Peter looked uncertain. I had told him I would be doing all the talking today. Remember what we talked about, Mr. President. How could I forget? I was about to blame my best friend for a scandal that would otherwise shatter my administration. Peter hadn't said a word to me since I broke the news to him in my office. Together we stepped behind the podium. The reporters clustered around us and started shouting questions. Thank you for coming. As you are aware, Lanavance, the rubber spy who posed as my secretary, is currently on trial for espionage. Rest assured, a security breach of this magnitude shall never happen again. However, the fact remains she should never have been allowed to infiltrate our administration in the first place. She did so by exploiting the weakness of Vice President Peter Vector. The journalist gasped and murmured. Peter turned face to me, his mouth hanging open. The fuck do you expect me to say, mate? Mr. Vector's recklessness, to say nothing of his betrayal of Swedish values, has disgraced my administration. Therefore, the Vice President has tendered his resignation effective immediately. The clamor of reporters was growing louder. Peter seemed to shrink behind the podium, his charisma failing him at last. That's it then, no going back from this. The reporters were becoming hard to ignore. One woman in the front row looked particularly insistent. Mr. Vector. Sure, let's let him answer the question. I nodded at Peter to take her question. Can you give us a comment on your resignation? No, President Reagan just about covered it. I'm a terrible vice president and a worse husband and a sad old drunk. Sorry about that. Are you implying that you and the covert agent posing as President Reagan's secretary will engage in intimate relations? Relations, yes, intimate, I thought so at the time. Lucian interjected. Neither the President nor the Vice President will be taking any more questions, thank you. The reporters reluctantly dispersed. Lucian, Peter, and I looked at each other for what seemed like an eternity. Finally, Peter lowered his eyes. I guess I'll go into the palace and start packing my things then. I'll come with you. I do pity him, even though this is entirely his fault. Peter shook his head. I watched him descend the courthouse steps to his car. Well, a shame about your friend, Mr. President, but it appears you will make it out of this unscathed. Of course, there is now the matter of replacing both your secretary and your vice president. You're a little old to be my secretary, Lucian. Very funny, sir. We walked back up to the stairs to the courthouse to watch the rest of the trial. Okay, USP obstructionism. The United Sovereign Party has recently adopted a confrontational stance, engaging in obstructionist tactics that are raising political tensions. The party's actions, primarily aimed at hindering the president's initiatives, had led to a significantly slow down in policy implementation. This disruption has resulted in legislative gridlock, creating a challenging environment for the execution of administrative plans. Don't toe the party line, not like we had a choice, not like we were doing so in the first place. Okay, USP obstructionism, fine. Selection of the new vice president. It was here that they had been dreading since Peter's resignation. At the entrance to my office, my new secretary Sylvia took my hat and coat. She was a matronly woman in her 40s. She had a spotless background assisting various Maroon Palace officials. Replacing Livia had been easy, but replacing my vice president would be difficult. Swedish law dictated that if a vice president failed to complete his term, new candidates were to be put forward by the members of the cabinet. After much deliberation, it had been narrowed down to two. Lucian Galad was the frontrunner. Clavin the first. Who the fuck is this guy? Oh, the leader of the Reformists. Why the fuck would I even... He didn't even vote for me. He didn't even vote for the reforms. Fuck off. It was up to me to decide who would fill Petra's shoes. I wanted to chat with them one-on-one before making my decision. I already made my decision. I just began to settle my desk when I heard a knock at the door. Lucian entered and perched on the chair across from me. Sir? Lucian, you're one hell of a strategist, but why should I make you VP? It's precisely my capacity as a strategist that I have evaluated the experience and capabilities of your potential vice presidents. Objectively, I am by far the most qualified candidate. I would advise you not only to think about our long history together, but also the many crises I have helped shepherd you through. I won't say much beyond that. I believe my work speaks for itself. How the fuck do I know you won't try to have me ousted next? Because you've done this. You've done it to me in my last playthrough. Mr. Vector proves himself unfit for the position with his selfish and unprofessional behavior. I am counting on you not to do the same. Lucian got up from his chair. I expect you'll make the right decision. He left my office. Just a minute later, there was another knock at the door. Up and Clevin came in. Greetings, Mr. President. It's a great honor to have been chosen as a candidate. Really terrific. I'll be straightforward. Why should I pick you? As you know, I represent the reformist wing of the party. The reformist wing did not vote for the reforms. What Sorlin needs today is not only to catch up to our more modern neighbors, but to surpass them. I believe we could do that. No, I am sure. However, this will only be possible if we set aside our differences and unite as one. This is the outlook I wish to bring to the position of Vice President, so that Sorlin can excel and soar to new heights. And what have you been doing while the party has been obstructing my every move? Mr. President, I've been fighting my own fight against the establishment within the party. The USP reformists aren't really a part of that. The fact is, if I am the Vice President, reformist members of our party would be more likely to support you and your causes. This will smooth the passage of bills and help your administration, help move our administration and our country forward in record time. You mean like the constitutional proposals, where you didn't even say a word when Miss Story confronted me? Come on, Mr. President, you knew my position here. There was nothing I could do to help you, but I believe we can achieve great things together. And now that this country needs is more dynamic, youthful leadership. Look at you, President Rain, you become the youngest member of the Assembly and completely rejuvenated Sordish politics. I want to do the same. We need to be able to take risks and make gains that is only possible with a forward-looking perspective. There, I've stated my case. I trust your judgment. That'll be all for now, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Albin got up and left. I leaned back in my chair, thinking about the pros and cons of each of my vice president control candidates. I could almost hear Peter's voice in my head, laughing at the absurdity of my situation, but of course he wasn't there. I mean, it's not really a choice here. I was sitting in my office. I looked at the clock, 2:26 p.m. It was almost time for my appointment with Chiara on women's rights. There was a knock on the door. Chiara entered the room with folders in her hand. The door did not close behind her. Monica entered the room and stood next to Chiara. Mr. President, Anton, before we start, I just wanted to thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I've been dreaming about this ever since I volunteered with the Swordfish League of Women. I can't believe the moment's finally here. I think both of you together could finally bring change to Sorland. I hope you're right. Chiara sat down on a chair and laid down the folder she was holding. First off, Mr. President, I wish to thank you for pushing a decree on establishing gender equality in education. You know, this is something I've been trying to accomplish since my appointment as minister. The situation in the public schools was disturbing for me. With that said, we still have a long way to go before Swedish women are able to enjoy the same rights and privileges as men, or even as their counterparts in Arcadia or United Contana. We've been lagging behind this for decades, and on. And this isn't only a moral issue. I've seen enough revolutions in this world to understand the main driver of any change: money. She flipped the folder open and started pulling out documents. In United Contana, law dictates that women earn the same wages as men in their respective fields. My research shows that this led to a 15.5 increase in productivity. You could say this had a direct influence on their superpower status. Arcadia passed laws ensuring maternity leave rights, child daycare centers, and tax deductions for working families. In turn, they experienced a 12.6% productivity boost and a flourishing economy. Both countries have significantly lower infant mortality rates, a statistic I believe is directly linked to the improved status of women. Our administration has successfully managed to pull Sutherland back from the brink of economic ruin. Have we? She leaned back in her chair, so I'm asking why stop there? Why not improve our economy and modernize our society at the same time? It's only logical. Monica handed me one of the documents. It had a list of bullet points on it. The two of us talked it over, and these are the measures we believe are the most urgently needed. I let my eyes wander down the list. Okay, criminalizing domestic violence. How is that not a crime yet? I shouldn't have to tell you, but how crucial this is. It is utterly unbelievable that in this day and age, Swedish men are legally allowed to beat their wives. That is crazy. Yeah, I agree, it's a travesty. I'm happy we're on the same page. As incidences are especially high within Polish communities, I would also advocate for setting up a special domestic violence task force in collaboration with Polish women's rights organizations. Monica looked at her strangely. Are you sure that's something we ought to focus on? The Bloods are different. They have their own rules. Monica, I'm surprised at you. We can't let women suffer under the patriarchy no matter their ethnicity. Yeah, we need to lift up all Swedish women, Bloods included. We can discuss the particulars once the law has passed. Okay, support for working mothers. Chiara nodded. Simply isn't fair that women in the workforce are punished for having children. Remember that I told you about Janice, my friend, who basically got fired for becoming pregnant? That would never happen to a man. Paid maternity leave and state-subsidized daycare centers could be key to keeping more mothers employed. Okay, there's really only one good option here. It's true, having children never hindered my career prospects. It shouldn't hinder a woman either. Exactly. Moving on. Equal treatment in the workforce. That's an easy one. Right now, Sutherland has one of the continent's largest pay gaps between men and women. We need legislation ensuring that a woman doing the same job as a man is paid the same wage. We would also introduce quotas to get more women into positions of power in the assembly, for instance, or on the boards of corporations. Eventually, narrowing the pay gap is far more pressing issue, as it would bring financial independence to countless lower-income women. Karen, we never talked about this, but I always thought that with more women in power, higher status for all women would naturally follow. Not really, though. How many women has Hillary Clinton lifted up? And again, she was never in power. Or at least not in the highest of power, but still. Women are starving because they don't make a living wage. That's a damn sight more important than your friend Janice being passed over for a promotion. I'm with Chiara on this one. I don't see a problem with quotas, but tackling the... I see a problem with quotas. It's a band-aid. It fixes nothing. You can use it. Well, band-aids are useful as long as you pair them with long-term solutions. Um, Tackling the pay gap is much more urgent. Monica gritted her teeth. Thank you, Mr. President. That covers all subjects. What are your thoughts so far? You've made a good case for all of these changes. Thank you. If you can pull this off before the elections, the Rain administration will make history. Let's talk about how to proceed. I want to establish a commission for women's rights in Scotland. With me as its head, our goal shall be passing and implementing a set of laws to solve the problems we just discussed. As the Commission spokeswoman, my responsibility will be to make speeches and organize fundraisers. I will be the face of this movement while Kiara handles the groundwork. If I can show that the First Lady is behind this movement, many women will feel encouraged. Kiara gestured down at her outfit, especially those who aren't keen on pantsuits. The organization's name will be Commission for the Status of Women. It's going to be damn hard getting your last past the assembly. I know, but even a watered-down version would be better than nothing. One more thing to consider before making your decision. This could help silence any of the public lingering questions regarding your former vice president and the Olivia Suno affair. Monica lowered her voice. Anton, I am not completely naive. I know what we're proposing would have its downsides, but every time I look at our daughter, I think about how I do anything to grant her a better future. I know you would too, just like you told me all those years ago. I hope you'll make the right decision, we both do. Kiara was looking studiously at a scratch on my desk. She blinked and turned back to us. That's right, Mr. President. They rose from their seats expectantly. I took a few minutes to think. I will approve the creation of the Commission and support your bill in the Assembly. Monica turned to her. That's all the excitement we can muster. You did it. We did it. Monica hugged Kiara. She smiled uncomfortably. It's not over yet, Monica. The true battle is in the Assembly. We must celebrate once that's over with. I'll start gathering names for the Commission tonight. Yeah, I was already gonna say yes. This wasn't the difficult part. Kiara started collecting her documents. She and Monica headed toward the door. Monica paused before leaving. I love you, Anton. I see you at home. I could hear Monica and Kiara talking excitedly at each other as the door closed behind them. I looked out my window over the city of Holsort. It was a clear day outside. And on that happy note, that will be it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. As always, I have been Pope. Please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all next time.